Hello students, in this video we're gonna discuss about a popular play by Edward Albee, and the name of the play is Who is Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Now the name is actually inspired from Walt Disney's movie Three Little Pigs, and there was a song in that movie called "Who's Afraid of Big Bad Wolf." Now, first of all, wolf and wolf, they kind of gelled together. The rhyming scheme wasn't disturbed, but the main reason for using this particular name is once the name of Virginia Woolf is there, of course you'll be getting people will be raising eyebrows that, oh, what has happened. And also, the theme of the stream of consciousness, the acceptance of our stream of consciousness is really very important, and we're going to discuss it in detail, right? So let's get started. So the play is actually first staged in 1962. There are three main acts. The first act has two parts, the second act also has two parts, while the third act just has one part. The first part, like in the beginning of the play, there is a middle-aged couple named Martha and George. George is working at some university as an associate professor, while Martha is a housewife. However, Martha's father is the owner of the university, irrespective of the fact. Um, George is just an associate professor, not even a professor, which creates a feeling of inferiority in him. While she also says that he's younger than Martha, which again creates some inferiority complex regarding her age and beauty in Martha. So she has this inferiority complex about her body, while George has some inferiority complexes regarding his profession. Now, see, when the play starts, right, in the first few scenes, they are coming back from a party which was thrown by Martha's father to all the university professors, and from there she has invited some guests and she announces it. Well, George says that it's already 2 in the morning, why you have invited someone over. Martha says that, oh, the guy is also new from this Department of Mathematics, so I have invited him. So he says that, okay. So they start discussing, and George says that now you're so old and fat, right? So this is the theme of body shaming, right? That people, just to hide their inferiority complexes, they start throwing taunts, so insulting the other person based on their bodily structure. And although Martha is also no less, she also keeps on consistently insulting her husband about one thing or the other. In the meanwhile, somebody rings the doorbell. Nick, the guy she has invited, along with his wife Honey, they enter. Now Nick, he's quite handsome, blonde, good looking, and the wife is also nice, but she's really very skinny. And there is this earlier, right, because the play was staged back in 1960s. So the concept was that in case the girl is really skinny, so she might not be able to bear children. So now the body shaming comes to Honey, because now she is really skinny. So the society will never let you live. In case you are fat, you're old and fat. In case you are skinny, you're flat. So he says that, "Oh, your wife is so you know so this concept is there. Then they start talking, they start drinking, everyone, and Martha and George, they keep on insulting each other, which makes Nick and Honey a bit uncomfortable, but they didn't have any other option rather than staying over there. So this thing happens, and finally Martha says that, honey, come, I'll show you the house. They leave the stage, and now Nick and George are talking, making a conversation, in which George asks him that, what you are doing in mathematics. So he says that, I'm not into mathematics, I'm into biology. Maybe your wife was mistaken. This guy George is into history, this guy is into sciences. Now the clash of professions, which actually started back in 1960s, is also shown, beautifully portrayed, because people from the conventional studies, they had this kind of fear that maybe one day sciences will overpower us. Our profession, our this importance will go down, because people will be more about What are the advancements done in the field of sciences. I personally have faced this thing because I was earlier into marine science, and that too with University Malaya, a scholar from there, which is already amongst the top 100 universities of the world. And now I'm teaching English and literature, to which sometimes people, they ask me that why this kind of demotion is there. See, it's not demotion. Just like Dr. Kumar Vishwas once said कि मैं खराब इंजीनियर बनूँ इससे अच्छा मैं अच्छा पोएट बन जाऊँ, वैसे मैं खराब मरीन साइंटिस्ट बनूँ इससे अच्छा I am enjoying what I am doing. But people, they judge you based on your profession now, even the field of study. And now this guy George is feeling the same, so he starts insulting Nick that acha, you're from sciences. I don't personally like science doesn't have any right to interfere in the course of nature. Then he asks him that like simply asks him that whether you have children or not. Nick says that my wife had a hysterical pregnancy. Hysterical pregnancy is one in which the wife actually, the lady has all the symptoms of being pregnant, but actually she's not. Some people call it phantom pregnancy, some people call it ghost pregnancy, right? So then this scene is over. Now in this the part 2 of act 1 only, Martha comes beautifully dressed in some very nice, seductive dress. So this has been shown that, this middle age crisis, because her husband has said that you're not hot enough, you're not, like, you're old and fat. So she's trying to, grab all the attention. But she, rather than talking to her husband, starts flirting with Nick. She's, just to show that, I don't need you otherwise also. So when, and also she starts insulting George further. She says that during the courtship period, they like Martha's father, who's the owner of the university, actually asked them to go into some big kickboxing challenge, and Martha you know kicked out this guy George. He felt so insulted that he went inside, he got his gun, and he shoots at Martha. But Martha, when he shoots, an umbrella comes out. So although it is a prank, but still they have shown that how frustrated people are at times in marriages, that they really want to kill each other, but because killing is not an option, right? So this is how they take out their frustration, the marital frustration. Also, the name of the first act is Fun and Games. This the name is quite appropriate, because though people, these couples, they are saying that we are just playing these funny pranks on each other, but actually they are playing mind games with each other, which is really bad, really disgusting, right? So this thing continues. They keep on fighting. Nick and Honey, they are a bit uncomfortable, but they don't have any other option. They are staying. Everyone is drinking. And then Martha, then, because in the meanwhile Martha has brought up the topic of their son, Martha's and George's son, in front of Honey. And then Honey says that, oh, what your son actually looks like, to which George is kind of put off, because before they opened the door, this guy George said that don't bring the topic of the baby, right? But now the topic has been there, so they start fighting over that, what is the color of their son's eyes. Both of them, they are saying different things, which actually shows that there is something wrong with their son. So with this, this guy is so angry, George is so angry, that finally he takes the bottle and just smashes it against the wall, just to take out his anger again. As they say that again, because they are unsure that when their love has been changed to so much of hatred, they don't know, and now they are just doing these strange things. Now the act 2 part 1 starts, and the name of the act is this Walpurgist. Some people call it Walpurgis night also. Walpurgis night is actually the first May, the date 1st May or 30th April. So in this, this is actually dedicated to worshipping witches and all. Now, because first of all the name is like that, and now the discussion will also, you will be a little, I felt this element of a little bit of thriller, but it depends how you gonna take it. So now Nick and George, they're talking to each other. Nick Nick starts making some revelations. He says that I married Honey because first of all she was pregnant. Although the pregnancy was hysterical, I didn't know at that time whether she was pregnant or not. But because she said that she's pregnant, I had to marry her. It means sometimes people marry not because they are madly in love, but just because there is no other option. Now you have to marry her. The reasons why people marry each other are discussed. See, this guy George might also have married Martha because her father had this university. He might have thought that maybe one day he'll be running the university, although this never happened. Another cause of frustration, because what we have imagined is actually not happening, so people are further fighting with each other. So George tells about the story. He starts telling about a story of his friend. He says that I had a friend during my prep school days, and once he unintentionally, inadvertently killed his mother. It wasn't a murder, but because he was doing something and he suddenly shot and she died. After some days, or after some time, he also killed his father in an accident. And because when his both the parents died because of him, he went insane, and later on he was admitted to some asylum. Now the story, he found it funny. He said that I personally find it funny, but Nick was like, what's so funny about it, right? Even I will also feel the same. What's so funny about it? It's rather scary. I would have felt that maybe they will murder me, right? So we don't know, right? So then there are some themes here. First is the theme of power. Another thing, he also says that this lady Honey's father is a priest and he has a lot of money. So first of all, she was pregnant. Secondly, she is quite rich. She's the only daughter. Her father is a priest, so it's a win-win situation. Uh, so this same thing George might have felt, right? So first is this theme of power. People sometimes marry to get some kind of power from the other party. Maybe they feel elevated in the society. I don't know whatsoever it may be, but the theme is there. The next one is the theme of money. Some people, they marry for money. The third one is the gender. Now see, why the gender? Both the ladies, their fathers were kind of rich. If they wanted, they could have studied. They could have Martha could have been running the university. Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? If Virginia Woolf can do so much, why not Martha? But this never happened. Just because she didn't study properly, because she said that let the men do this, the earning of money job. She had this inferiority complex, right? And somehow there were some gender defined rules that, irrespective of the fact that her father is having the university, she is just a homestay mother or a homestay wife, right? Another theme is of parents and children, that how important it is to have our parents with us. Once that guy about which George was telling the story, they died, he went insane, right? And that's why how important it is to have our parents by our side. But another theme which is not discussed by many, but which I personally feel, is the importance of children. These people, Nick and Honey, they are trying to have a kid, right? They don't have a child. So this thing is the only thing, that even if they also don't like each other much, they are just using this link of having a child as a medium to keep themselves joined. Similarly, many people, they don't get divorced irrespective of bad marriages just because of the children. Because American society was facing this problem badly during the 1960s and 70s, people were not able to come out of their personal conditioning also, so they were forced into the marriages. They were staying together although they were hating each other, right? So this act 2 part 2 starts, and in this one, Martha, she talks about the novel which George had written, and he had written the same story which he recently has told to Nick. She says that the novel was so bad, it was about a guy who accidentally killed both his parents and then he went insane. To which Nick actually looks at it as the one, right? He has simply told me, it means it was a lie, but I felt as if the story is real. She said, but thank God my father never let him publish such kind of ridiculous work. Otherwise, how much of bad name would have come to our university? Like what kind of professors they are, what kind of stories they have been writing. It's not like that. So this is the manipulating nature, the controlling. That see, my father can control you. See, through this thing I can control you. So the element of controlling each other in marriages has also been shown that no matter how you just want to control the other party, right, rather than having giving them the freedom to live their lives, people, they just want to control, no matter by which medium. Then they play the last game, and the name is hump the hostess or get the guests. So here again, Honey, she makes this revelation because everyone is drunk, they are just somehow telling each other their secrets. Honey simply says that I don't have children because I don't want to, right? And now this thing comes up that and before this thing, because there are women, those who really don't want to have children, but back now we still do understand this thing, but back in 1960s it was maybe a crime that we really don't want to have children. Even now in Indian societies, after 1 or 2 years of marriages, right, people are after you that where is the child, right? So back in 1960s it was a big thing even for the Americans. So she says that why we just have to have children when I really don't want to. And also why she makes this revelation, because George says that I'll tell you a story. And the story is actually indirectly about Nick and Honey. He says that there was a couple. The lady apparently was pregnant, right? Although nobody knew whether she was or she wasn't. But just because she was getting fat, she said that I'm pregnant. And then the guy had to marry her. But once they got married, they came to know that there is no child. And somehow the lady was flattened, and now she's so skinny. She was so upset about this thing. She said that maybe now he's trying to target her, so that's why she made this revelation that see, I don't have children because I don't want to. And then but still what he was trying to mean was that she tricked Nick into the marriage, because Nick was quite good looking and quite educated. So there can be other reasons, right? So that everyone is now like in back in 1960s, what Edward Albee wanted people know, that people are not marrying each other out of love, but out of some ulterior motive, right? So the pure intentions are not there. So this thing he was trying to portray. Now the act 3 starts, and the act 3, the name of the act is bringing up the baby. In this act, finally George tells Nick and Honey that our son has actually died, and I want to tell this thing to Martha, but I don't have the courage of telling this thing to her. So what he does, he goes out, he gets some flowers, he comes back, he knocks the door, Martha opens the door, although everyone is still inside, and he says that our son has died. And this evening only some telegram came, and they actually told him that your son has died while driving a car trying to save someone. He just took a turn and then he crashed the car and he died, exactly like the guy who killed his father, right, in the story. So the novel he wrote, or the story he narrated to Nick actually understood that, oh, this is how the father died. Maybe some mother was like, he had also killed the mother. Now throughout the novel, throughout the play, someone is singing this just the title line, who's afraid of Virginia Woolf, who's afraid of Virginia Woolf. Finally Martha says, I am, you have killed my son just because you never wanted me to tell them that we have a son, so you have killed him. It means that the son was never there. It was their escapism. They had this illusion, this imaginary child, just to keep their broken marriage, just to save their broken marriage, just to stay connected together, just to have some kind of maybe and this unreal bond, that okay, we have this illusion, we have this imaginary son who's keeping this marriage, it's not allowing this marriage to fall apart. So now the title makes all the sense. Why all the sense? Because first of all, this guy Virginia Woolf throughout her life has actually studied the concept of stream of consciousness. We know stream of consciousness is when we keep on keep our thoughts in our consciousness. We are aware of our thoughts, and then that's how we write. Every time we are thinking something, I also tell my students that in case you would like to improve your language proficiency, you should change your stream of consciousness into English, and it will help you a lot. So here they have shown that they had this illusion, they had this stream of consciousness that just in our consciousness, just in our subconscious, just as an illusion, we have this child. And just like Virginia Woolf has always said, that keep your thoughts into your awareness. Many people, those who are practicing meditation, they also say the same thing, that keep your thoughts in your awareness. So the reality has struck her finally, that there was no child. What I believe is, this is my personal opinion, this is my personal experience, that maybe he has done the same. Maybe earlier they had a daughter just like the mother, and they killed her. He rather would have killed her, George would have killed her, because earlier also she might have brought this topic of their child in front of some other people. It was their secret. Just because she revealed their secret in front of other people, George finally killed the child, because it was just an imaginary child. But the pain of killing the child was just the same as it would have been for the mother. They were trying to escape the reality that they are infertile, rather than going to some doctors or adopting a baby or doing something else. They just started playing these mind games, and that's why I think the title is perfect, that who's afraid of Virginia Woolf, who's afraid of facing their own reality, who's afraid of coming in terms with our own reality, our own thoughts, are accepting things the way they are. Even if it's a broken marriage, accept it is. Even if you don't have a child, accept it is. Even if you're not able to bear a child, accept it is. And until unless we won't accept it, we won't be able to address the problem. And of course, the marital strife, the problems in marriages have been shown, and I really liked it. Kind of a good good play. The concepts are escapism, acceptance of reality, stream of consciousness. I think it's available on the YouTube. If in case you would like to just watch the play, watch it. You will like it. There are just a few questions important from UGC NET point of view or NTA NET point of view. One is, who has written Who is Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Now you will remember it's Edward Albee. Another important question is, they can ask you about the names of the three acts. So I have already told you. In case you would like to take screenshot, you may. So I'm showing you. 1, 2, and 3. Keep reading, keep sharing. God bless.